Recording has been started, I believe. Yeah, it is started now. Can you see here? So I'm going through this one, study material. And we have Java SDET. So we were discussing about exceptions handling, and there was one more topic. I will tell you that topic. Things to remember is there. Polymorphism. Interfaces, polymorphism. Switch case, flow control, for each assignment. Let me find it. You can see here. Page number 97 it is. Actually, it was coming. So that's why I was looking for that topic. So it is there. So it is not there, what to call polymorphism, but basically it is a part of polymorphism. So when we talk about these topics, so we have discussed about try, we have discussed about catch, we have discussed about finally, throw and throws. So these keywords are mostly used in exceptions handling kind of concepts, and we have already completed the demo of all the exceptions handling scenarios. So today I have one more example, which is a kind of method overriding. So when we override some method in a child class, so their exceptions rules are applied here. So I will discuss about those rules. You can see here this we have already gone through. So these are some lab exercises for you, which we have already done. Write a program with try, catch, and finally block. So a simple programming, it is asking that your program should have a try block, then catch block, then it should have a finally block. Write a program to throw array out of bounds exception. So via throw keyword, you can throw this array out of bound exception. Okay. Write a program to throw parse exception while parsing a date. Like enter in this different format, and you want to read in a different format, but you have given some parsing issue. So yesterday I have shown this kind of demos to you. So now we have exception propagation. So it is talking about checked and unchecked exceptions. Means some exceptions will automatically propagate and some will not. So by default, unchecked exceptions are forwarded in the calling chain. Okay. So unchecked, like when you will what you call, the exception will occur. So it will show you that which classes it is calling. So this is calling different class, this is calling different. So chaining kind of like options are coming in the what you call in the run execution. Okay. So let me show you that example, I believe. So this is my Eclipse. SRC, and we have exceptions handling. See that I'm creating null pointer exception. So see here we have like this one. It will throw you null pointer exception if I'm just executing this. Exception occurred here, and then it occurred, it is calling to this class. If there is a different level of chaining, it will show you all the chains. So that is the main what you call advantage of exception handling. So this is talking about that thing. Checked exceptions are not forwarded in calling chain propagated. That's if it is something chain checked exceptions. So let me show you checked exception. I'm putting a wrong file name. here this is checked one. So right click, run as Java application. You can see here how it is calling. So this exception occurred here and it is calling file input string line number 138. Again, this is calling this file input stream 195, and then it is calling this one open method, native method. So there it is calling this method. So this is showing exception. And finally, the exception name is file not found exception. So in this way, the chaining of exceptions are coming during runtime. So not very much useful, just for concept level things like how it is being followed. This is not important. Next, things to remember. This is something very important to understand, that when you have a parent and child relationship in the parent class and in the child class, same method is there, and there are cases in parent who have defined some exceptions, or may you have not defined exceptions. So what should be the behavior in the child class? So when we talk about method overriding, it means a parent-child relationship I am talking, where parent-child class has the same method and child class has the same method. So there are basically two rules applied. You can see here. If the parent class does not declare any exception, or if the parent class declares an exception. So there are two cases, and in both cases, what is going to happen? We have to see that. So these are some high-level theories that you can have nested try block. It means you can have try inside try also. It's possible. So catch, you can have catch, then try inside catch also can possible, and then catch also should be there. So catch inside catch. So these things are allowed in Java. There is no problem. Any number of catch methods may be followed by a try block. So we have a like try block, and then we have a catch block. So catch methods we call it. So you can have n number of catch methods. So there is no restriction for that. But the rule says that it should have a proper order when it is a parent-child relationship. Only that thing you have to highlight in the interview. When an exception occurs, these are scanned in order to find a matching parameter. The more specific one should be placed first. So this is about the order of catch block. If you're going to like some exceptions going to happen, so the order should be properly arranged. Otherwise, it will not work. And now these things can be understand via examples, which I'm going to explain right now. You can see here, I have one parent and I have one child. So I will open both one. Let me close others, not needed as of now. You can see here, we have a parent and we have a child. So let me open side by side. You can see here, this is a parent-child relationship. How you will understand? Via extend keyword, this class is becoming the parent of this class. So naming convention also I have given, so that you will easily understand this is a parent, this is a child. But how it is a parent-child? Via this one. Extend keywords, I'm making this class as a parent. So this class is already there. Then after that, I'm just making this class as a child class, and this is a parent class. In both of the classes, we have one method. So method name is M1 here. Here also it is M1. But these things, there are some rules which you have to follow. If it is a public, so you cannot degrade it in the child class. It should be public only. If it is void, so you can either have the same or covariant return type is also allowed. So for void, like there is no covariant type, so it should be void only, right? The method name should be there, and signature. Signature, it means whatever the parameter is no parameter, so here it should be no parameter. Then only it will be considered method overriding. And now you see here in the parent class, I am using throws keyword and defining some exception. So this is a basically checked exceptions. Okay, input output exception is a checked exceptions. So rule says that when you have a exception defined in parent class, like whatever the exception. So in the child class, either you can have same exception or the child of that exception. And third point is no exceptions. All three possible scenarios applies to the child class when I have a exception in the parent class. So you can see here, I have defined here throws exception. Someone joined or what? Okay. So you can see here, we have a parent class, we have a child class. So we have make a relationship, parent and child relationship. And after that, we have a M1 method, M1 method. So in the parent class, I am declaring one exception via throws keyword. So if I have declared this exception, so there can be like parent of this exception and there can be child of exception. So rule says that in the child class, either you can have the same exception. So this is allowed. There is no problem. Either you can have this case. Second case, it is saying that you can have no exception. Yes, if in the child class, you don't want to throw any exceptions or declare any exception. So this is also possible. Third case is you cannot have the parent exceptions in this. So if you go to the exceptions hierarchy, let me go there and then I will explain. So there are parents as well, right? And there are childs as well. So it is saying that you can have same is okay. Either you can have no, child can have no parent allowed. If you cannot directly write here exception. If I try to write exception in the child class, so I am violating the rule. You can see here this is not allowed. So if something you have defined in the parent class, so child class throws keyword can have either same or downwards, means the what you call child exceptions can be defined, no parent exception. So from here, these are the parent exceptions. So I cannot go this level, but I can go either same or downward level. So let me take one example of this one, this end of file exceptions I'm taking. I'm just checking whether it is allowed or not. You can see here it's allowed. There is no problem in importing like this. So either it can have same, either it can have no, or the child can be allowed, no parent allowed. So this is the first rule. When you have something in the parent class. Second case is that in the parent class, you don't have anything. Okay. Let me copy, paste, and let me comment this. I'm saying that in the parent class, I haven't declared any exceptions. In that case, what will happen? So it says that the rules are three. In the child class, either you can have same without any throw declaration should be okay, no problem. You can have any runtime exception, means not checked exceptions are allowed. So means if you want to define any checked exceptions, so it will not allow. You can see here because in the parent class there is no exception, so checked exceptions not allowed in the child class. Okay, this is a checked exceptions, input output exceptions, so this is not allowed. But unchecked exceptions are allowed. So means if I want to, you know already, right? Unchecked exceptions. So these are like runtime exceptions are unchecked, so you can take any one. Right click, type hierarchy. MNOPQR runtime exception. You can see here, right? So this is the exceptions. I can have this one or child of any runtime. So means either you can put runtime or any of this you can take. So I'm just giving one example here. I'm taking a runtime exception and I'm coming here. I'm trying to put here. So rule is saying that you cannot have any checked exceptions, but unchecked exceptions can be done. So I will take one or two examples, then you will understand. So runtime exception is an unchecked exception, so you can use that. If again I am going here, I'm taking any other exceptions like array arithmetic exception. So this is also allowed. There shouldn't be any problem. So these are the basic like overriding rule, and basically it is covering into the exceptions context. So that's why we have waited for method overriding exceptions handling cases. So this is something very important point, and same thing they have tried to disclose. If superclass means in the parent class does not declare any exceptions, well, like it is saying that in the parent class I haven't declared any exception. This case. So in the child class, in the subclass means child class, our hidden method cannot have checked exceptions. Checked exceptions not allowed, but it can have unchecked exceptions allowed. So either no exceptions or unchecked is allowed. So this is a valid rule and you have to know that. Okay. Second case is in the parent class we have declared any exception. There are only two points which you have to discuss. Either you have declared or you haven't declared. So in the parent class, if you have declared any exception, so it is saying that in the child class, you can have either same, either child of this exception or no exception, three cases. So means I can remove this. There shouldn't be any problem. I'm not getting any compilation either. So it means rule says that it is allowed in the child class our hidden method. You can skip this part. But if I want to use any parent exception of this, so it's not allowed. Either it can have same is allowed. No is allowed, same is allowed, child is allowed. So child I will take, this one is the child exception. Okay, so this is allowed. And parent is not allowed. So means exception is the parent of that, right? If I try to put parent exception, I'm getting a compilation error. So this is the basic rule which you have to understand. And this is the point to remember concept, things to remember, we have to look into that. Anyone has any doubt here?
No, Rajiv. So I have one just general question. Do we really go to that deeper level of exception while development, or it's just for the concept?
Or not all the exceptions, but yeah, few exceptions you have to go to the deeper level because those are most frequently used. Like so,
Yeah,
in the
I'm
interview
talking about this
also,
this
yeah,
overriding
this
of
concept you
exception.
should have like you have to know the rules of Java. Otherwise, when you handle the exceptions handling na, or method
Okay.
overriding, if you will not follow the rule, then there should be problem, and you will never understand why this is allowed, this is not allowed. Now you are knowing the rules, so you will not do
Yeah.
those kind of mistakes. So what is
Okay.
allowed and what is not allowed kind of things.
Okay. Thank you.
Exception handling is very important topic, and like in the interview, you can expect one or two questions from that. Yes, surely 4 or 5 exceptions name you have to tell, and one or two like situational, how it occurred and what the solution you provided for that. So those kind of answers they want to listen from you. Okay. Consider that I give you one scenario that I got a null pointer exception. What could be the reason? You can simply that you have not initialized it. That's why you are getting null pointer exception. Like, so this kind of example you can take. When you will get file not found exception. So if you put the file name as a wrong, like or path you have given the wrong. So in that case you can what you call get file not found exception. Okay. So this is very important point which you have to understand regarding exception handling. And it's not very tough to understand. It's easier. Only two things you have to remember. Either it will have no exception or either you have declared any exception. So that's the two rules you have to follow. Now, next topic is throw versus throws, and it's very important interview questions. Now you have already gone through both of the topic, so you can think of that whether it is a valid or not. So throw, Java throw keyword is used to explicitly throw an exception. Means on the method level, outside of method signature level, you are just using throw keyword and you are just defining the couple of exceptions then. So it is explicitly means manually. Explicitly means manually throwing some exception. Implicitly means automatic. Explicitly means manually. Okay. Java throws keyword is used to declare an exception. You can see here via throw keyword, we were throwing some kind of exceptions yesterday, like invalid age exceptions, arithmetic exceptions. We have seen those examples. And throws keyword is like used at the method level. I put the wrong statement last time. Okay. It is inside the method. It is at the method level. Throws keyword. Java throws keyword is used to declare an exception, like input output exception or file not found exception. So you can declare at the method level. And this is used to throw the exception. Means new keyword will be there. Via that you are just instantiating any exception. So it is saying that check exceptions cannot be propagated using throw only. Means via throw keyword, uh, it will not automatically propagate. So you have to throw. So it's up to you how you want to handle it. Check exceptions can be propagated with throws. If there is any checked exceptions, so just go and declare it. That will be handled automatically. Throw is followed by an instance. It means throw will followed by new keyword, new and the object name will be there. But throws is just class name. Throw and just you throws keyword you will use and you will put the which class, like which exceptions you want to throw. You see a throws keyword and class name. And via throw you are using like this. New run time exception. I'm just taking an example. Like this. But normally when people are using throw keyword, they are using it conditionally. So based on some if condition. Otherwise, you can do some kind of mistake and it will always throw some exception and it will have normal termination of your program.
Rajiv, can you just explain the last point again? I missed that. Maybe there was some network issue at my end.
Which point?
The last point you are just showing in the example. So
Say
we should
throw
take if
keyword.
condition, throw keyword with if
I'm
condition.
saying
You are
that
saying something.
normally based on some if condition you will throw the exception.
Okay.
If condition is fulfilled, then only you use to throw this exception. Otherwise, what it will do? It will terminate your program, right? So that's the main thing
Okay.
of.
Got it.
So we were discussing about important points which you have to tell in the interview. Throw is used via new keyword. So that's why it is called an instance. Throws keyword is followed by class name. So if you have a throws keyword, you see here, it is on the method level and it is inside the method level. So via throw keyword, you can say it is inside the method level, but throws keyword is at the method level. Okay, not inside. And one important point, because it is throws and it is throw. So throw means singular and throws means plural. So it can be used for throwing multiple exceptions. Like I have put here null pointer exception. So multiple exceptions can be thrown using throws keyword because it is plural and it is a singular. So you just throw an instance. It is inside the method level. It is at the method level. So these are the basic interview things you have to tell during the interview. Throw is within the method. Throws is at the method signature level. You cannot throw multiple exceptions. You can declare multiple exceptions. Checked and unchecked both. There is no rule for checked and unchecked. Maybe the interviewer will ask you to confuse you. Via throw keyword, you can throw checked or unchecked. You can tell that both. There is no problem. Via throws keyword, same. Checked and unchecked. There is no rule for that. Both are allowed. It's up to you. Okay. So this is very, very important point. We have seen there with this example, you can see here multiple, only single at the method level, inside the method level, checked and unchecked both, checked and unchecked both here also. Okay. And rule says that when your parent method, in the terms of overriding, parent class method has exception or not. If it is has, then same or child of that exception allowed, no exception allowed, that is possible. If it doesn't have, so in the child class method, you can leave like same, means no exception, or you can have unchecked exceptions. Any unchecked exceptions you can define, but not checked exceptions. So this is something rule very, very important you have to understand. Now, coming to this point. Final versus finally versus finalized. So this is a new topic, and it is only one thing is correlated with the finally, which we have already discussed. So mainly we will discuss about final and finalize. So finally block, whenever you have exception and you want to handle the finally block, so you can use it like that. Try exception example. Yeah, you can see here. We have a try block. We have a catch block. Basically, it will call a block, not method. Because if it is a method, then you should have some kind of void and other things. So it is a block actually, and then finally block. So finally block also there. So you can use. So finally block will always execute, that you already know. You can see this is one example where a lot of things are used here. So we have try block with the risk code I am putting here, and then catch, 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 and catch. So this is one example where I have shown you the parent-child relationship. So throwable is the super parent, and child is like exception is the child of throwable. Then this is something the child of this one, and these two are having like no relationship between two. So you can put in any order. So this like order has to maintain. Okay. So this you have to use it wisely. In which order you have to put it like. Now I'm talking about final keyword, finally, and finalize. See, final is a keyword in Java. It's a very, very important keyword. So like a string class you have seen already final, that place, if you can recollect that where you have seen that. So there is a string class, string buffer, string builder. You have already visited that. So this is the final class. The final class you can define. So class can be final, and what does it mean? It cannot be the parent of any class in Java. If a class is a final class, so it means I am restricting it to be extended to any child class. So let me go to those examples, final, finally, and finalize. Final class. You can see here, I have a final class here. Okay. And I have a child class here. Means this class I'm considering that this is also a final class. And this is also a final class. So I have any example, final, finally, finalize. I think this one. This is a class, and this is a normal class. Normal class, why I have designed it. I think this should be okay. So this is a class, and I have declared this class as a final class. So class can be make a final, and once you have designed the class as a final, it means this class cannot be the parent of any class. So let me take one example here. I am just trying to create a new file. Test final class implementation, or you can say exchange. As parent-child relationship, I have to test. So this is just a normal class, so I will not take public static void main because I want to implement elsewhere. I am just going to show you the demo for final class, how it behaves. So I just created this class. So now I have two classes. One is parent class A and one is child class. But as of now, this is not parent-child relationship. I have to create this relationship. But this is a class and this is a final class. So I want this class to be the parent of this class. So what I will do, I will just use exchange keywords. I will put the class name, this one. You can see here, I'm getting some error here, compilation error. And just mouse over here, it is saying that test final class extends cannot be subclass the final class. Because this is a final class in Java, you cannot make this class as a parent. But once you remove this final keyword, say that I removed it, you can see that compilation error is gone. So if any class is created as final, it means you cannot make this class as a parent of any class. Consider that a string class you are taking here. So again, I'm getting the same issue because the string class also not allowed. Let's take another example, like I'm using null pointer. You can see here, it's allowed because this is not a final class. So if you want to verify, you can go and check what is the null pointer exception class. You can see it's just a class, not a final class. So if it is a final class, you will not be allowed to extend it. So final class, it cannot be extended. So that's the main topic. The final keyword can be applied at three places. Just remember this. One at a class level, one at a method level, and one at a variable level. So variable level, I will show you for two things. One is primitive data type, one is non-primitive data type. Because final behaves differently in both of the cases. So let me show you first. I have already shown you for the what you call final class. So if parent class is a final, then it cannot be the parent of any class. Okay, so that's the thing. But if child class is final, so there is no rule for that. I will show you both of the part. You can see here, this is a class and this is also a class. If I put this class as a final, then there is no restriction. As final class can be the child of any class. So this you have to understand. Final class cannot be the parent of any class, but parent class can be the child of any class. After that, once you are restricting that, after that, don't extend it. Not allowed. So hope it is clear to you. And I'm going to the what you call method level. If method is defined as a final, then what will happen? You can see here, I have a class as a final. So let me remove the final keyword. You can see here, I have a final method over here. One, two method, three method. So this is the default method. No parameter is there. This is having one parameter and this is having a character parameter. But all three are here. It is overloaded. So for overloading, one thing, final method can be overloaded. The most important topic. You can have in a same class different methods. Methods name should be same, but it's based on parameter. It is differentiating. So in line number 15, you can see I have index. Here I have nothing here in the bracket, and here I have a character type. The final method displays the name of method, and it can be overloaded. So in the same class, more than one method can be there, and all can be final. So basically, final method can be overloaded but cannot be overridden. Overridden means if you try to use it in the parent-child class concept, so there will be some conflict, and which you have to understand. So this is the child A and this is the parent A. I'm taking two things side by side. Let me remove this part. And here I have removed the final keyword from the class. But basically I have the final keyword at method level. So if method is final, it means in the child class you cannot have the same method name with the same parameter. Same method name with the same parameter not allowed. So I'm just copying it, and in the child class I'm going and creating the same method. Okay, so you can see here I'm not getting any error as of now, but because there is no relationship between parent and child name, so I have to first create a relationship, then I will check whether how it is behaving. EXTE and DS extends PA RENT parent. So when I make this class as a parent of this class, so I'm getting a compilation error because it is a final method, and in the child class we cannot have the same method name with the same parameter. So it's strictly not allowed. Even it is a final or not final, it doesn't matter. Final method cannot be overridden. Overloading is allowed, overriding is not allowed. So just be careful while you are putting the final keyword at the method level. And this is the concept they want to listen you. When you talk about methods, you have to tell that, yeah, method final can be done, but same final method can be overloaded, but cannot be overridden. So if you tell in one line, that should be okay. It can be overloaded, but cannot be overridden. Okay. Now next is static method also can be final. You can see here I have a static method, public static void test. This out. You can see here. And I can make this method as a final. So there is no problem. A static method can be overloaded. So final method, a static method can be overloaded. So it means in the same class you can have more than one method with a static keyword and final. So it is allowed. But a static method cannot be overridden. Why? So that is one concept. Method is a static, it means it's the member of class. It will never be the part of the child class. So there is no concept of method overriding for the static. It is called method hiding. So one question from the interview side, they will ask, what is difference between method overriding and method hiding? So you can tell that non-static method in the parent class and child class is called method overriding. But static method in the parent and child is their same method name with the same signature. So we will call it method hiding. Okay. You can see here, I will go there like this. I will paste it. I'm getting a compilation error. It is saying that cannot override the final method. So since it is the final, I remove this keyword. So now the compilation is gone. But this method is coming in the child A class. This method is coming in the parent A class. So both can be overridden. Static method can be overridden. Sorry, not overriding. It's a kind of method hiding concept. It cannot be called as method overriding, but it's allowed. See, something weird, right? So in the parent class, same method signature, something like that. It is same like that. So why this is allowing? So because static things are the class members. It never be the part of child class member. So whenever you have to use, you use class name dot method name because it's a static method. You can see this concept. Final can be applied as method. Final method can be overloaded. Final method cannot be overridden. Okay. A static method also can be final. Just remember this. A static method also can be final. So main method can be final. So these are some interview tricky question and you have to be focused on that. Main method can also be final. And where you can apply final keyword? Anywhere. Inside main, outside main, anywhere you can apply. So there is no rule for that. Class you can make final. So class cannot be extended. If method is final, it means it can be overloaded, cannot be overridden. The static with final is allowed in Java. The static method cannot be overridden. It is method hiding concept. So these are some pointers which you have to understand. Now I'm going for one more point. That is when you are using it as a variable, final variable demo. You can see here some of the variables are there. I have made a variable as a final. So rule says that when a variable is final, once it is initialized, you cannot change the value after initialization. So you remember about a string class, how it is immutable concept. So same concept it is using. It is saying that once your variable is there, you can just leave like that. Means you are not initializing it, but you have to initialize it once. So once you have to initialize, and then after initialization, you cannot change the value. So this is, I'm talking about primitive data type. Just remember this concept. So final keyword on data type behaves two different ways. One is primitive data type, one is object data type. So first I'm going through the primitive data type. So you see a final int x equal to 100. So here I have already initialized it once. Okay. Here I have not initialized. Nothing initialization is done. Final int z. So no initialization. A static final int I. No initialization. So four variables I have taken for to show you demo. One is static, two is like integer final, and one is creation and initialization at the same level. So how do we initialize the variables? So you remember in the constructor, in the initializer block, a static block. So static variable can be initialized in the static block. These non-static members can be initialized in either constructor or initializer. Means non-static blocks can be. So you see here, I'm assigning the value of y equal to 200. So y part is settled down. Then z part, okay. So z I am initializing here in the initializer block. So where you can initialize, this is also tricky question. If it is a variable final, so in the interview they will ask how you will initialize the final variable. So you can say that either at the time of creation, or second place in the constructor, or third place in the initializer block. Only three places can be used to initialize. At the time of creation, if you have not done that time, then you have to use either initializer block or constructor. Other places you cannot use for initialize. And since it is a static final, so I have to use static block only for initialization. So this is also important rule for you. If final variable is put, sorry, final keyword is put on any variable, then these are the rules applicable. You can initialize the variable in the constructor initializer block, and if it is a static final, then you have to initialize here in the static block. Okay. What if I try here? That is also allowed. The static things can be accessed. Oh, it is showing some error. The final variable cannot be assigned. That's why I have put in the static block. The static members, so I'm putting it in the static blocks for initialization. Users wise, no problem. Initialization wise, there are some rules we have to follow. Now coming to the main method to show you the demo. of the final variable. So these are primitive data type. Now you understand, once you have initialized, you cannot change the value. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to change the value of x here. Okay. So you see, final variable demo obj, new final variable demo. I'm creating the same class name here and creating the object here. After that, first I'm printing the value of obj.x. You know, we have obj, so all the variables will be available. So I will show you if you have forgot. So what are the variables there? That is allowed x, y, z, and I. X, y, z, and I. So 4 variables are there which you can access. So there is no problem. But once it is initialized and later you want to change the value of that. So I'm getting a compilation error and it is saying that what is the issue? The final field cannot be assigned. It means why it is not allowed? So reason it is saying that it's a final variable. So that's why once it is initialized, you cannot change the value. So this is one part. The another interesting part is I will show you. See here, obj. What I'm trying to do here, I'm creating a new variable. This variable is already there. I'm creating a new object. So this is created, okay? And I'm assigning into obj. So obj, first it was pointing to this object. Now this object will become anonymous because obj start pointing to new thing, correct? It's allowed. But what if I want to put restricted? Means once I initialize, I don't want to change it, reinitialize. So if you put a final here keyword, you will start getting compilation error. And for what? Because once it is initialized, it's once it is holding the reference of any variable. So reference is fixed now. You cannot change it next time in the same program. Obj is not allowed to hold new object because it is holding this object. But just remember this. I'm taking one variable which is non-final. Just to show you demo between final and this is a final variable obj. So object are never final, reference are final. Just remember that. Object is not final, reference are final. It means I am just holding this object for throughout the program. That's why I put a final. If I will not put this, line 41 is allowed. Means it can change the objects and the same variable reference can be assigned to the new object. So now since it is the final one, it's not allowed to reassign because it's already assigned here. But the point to remember is that we have objects, inside that we have variables. So variables are not final if the reference is final. Just remember this point. I will show you the demo, then you will understand. As of now, I'm printing PQR, should be okay. And just remember obj is final. obj.pqr equal to 1000. I will not get any error, but here I was getting error. So can you tell me the reason why it was there? Not allowed, here it is allowed.
It was not the final with final keyword. This
See,
PQR.
X is the final one, okay?
Yeah,
X
PQR
is
is
a
not with final.
X and PQR is not final. So if you create a reference as a final, it means it is not applicable on the primitive data type. Just remember this, primitive data type is can be changed if it is final or not. So you have to be careful while you are using the final keyword on primitive data type or object data type. So object data type only reference can be final, data is never final. Reference is final, data is not final. And once on the primitive data type you are applying the final keyword, means you are saying that data is final. Okay, so that's why I am able to change this value, and again if I want to print I will get the new value. But here it was not allowed, line number 39. And the reason is it is non-final, so anytime anyone can change it. This is final, once assigned, no one can change it. You can see I'm getting the output like this. The last two lines you can see. So I've given here 200, so it is printing 200. When I try to change, it was allowed, and after that when I printed, it is printing the latest value. So this is okay. Okay. Anyone has any doubt? Final keyword when you are applying at the class level, when you are applying at the method level, when you are applying at the variable level. So variable level are two kind of variables. One is object data type, one is primitive data type. So if primitive data type you are making as the final, means you cannot change it. If object data type you are making as a final, so it means it is not applies, it doesn't apply on the primitive data type. It means you cannot change the reference. The reference is final throughout the program. No one can change the reference. Okay, is it clear to you?
Yep.
So now we have a new topic. What is finalize? Finally, we have already seen, so no need to discuss again. But finalize is something new and it is a very conceptual thing. So I would like to discuss this topic in the next class because it is going to take time. I have to give you some concept of the finalize and then I will go through that. So it will take around half an hour, I believe. So we'll discuss it in the next class. But up to here, if anyone has doubt, they can ask. So if I ask you one question, can you tell me name of like couple of final classes in Java? Tell me. Anyone wants to try? Final class in Java. No one wants to answer? Very simple. String, string buffer, string builder. Three, you just remember that, and all the wrapper classes. You can just simply tell in the interview. All the wrapper classes are final classes. You see here, I will show you. Byte, this is a wrapper class, right? The final class. Short, it's a final class. Integer, it's a final class. Long is also a final class. Float, also final class. Double is also a final class. Boolean, final class. And character, it's also a final class. So all the wrapper classes, string, string buffer, and string builder. You can tell couple of names. So you can say that these are the final classes. Okay.
Okay.
So that's all for today's session. We will meet up on Thursday. Tomorrow is like no class day. And Thursday we will meet up at the same time. Thank you. Thanks all for joining today's session.
Thank you. Thanks, Raju.
Welcome. Thank you.